Welcome to my tutorial. If you'd like to skip to a certain step, you can do so by clicking on any of the scenes that you see here. This is a very quick tutorial, a very fast project. It won't take very long or very much money to get it done. Let's get started. You can pick up these items at any hardware store. You'll need to get yourself a Torx Security T5 screwdriver. And you'll also need the T3 Torx screwdriver, but it doesn't need to be a security screwdriver. Get whatever paint you need, some primer, and clear coat, as well as 220 grit sandpaper. We're going to start off by locating the first screw, which is located underneath of the security sticker inside the battery pack. So with our Torx Security T5 screwdriver, we're going to pull that screw out. And now we need to get inside to the other 4 screws, which is a very easy thing. So you just grab a hold of these side pieces here and they pop right off. Now I'm going to put this together for you and show you. All you do is grab it and pull out, and then move your fingers back across the back and pull up at the bottom. It comes right off. It's just that easy. The final screws are located here, 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 and here. So we're going to pull those out with our Security T5, putting them in a safe place. Once you've removed the final screw, you can pull this part off, which I call the face plate, and then you pull out the insides here. Now we're going to start by pulling off our trigger buttons, our left and right bumper buttons rather, I apologize. So we're going to pull off our left and right bumpers by pulling the tabs out and then up. So you grab it and you pull it out, and then with your thumb you hold the tab in place and pull the back tab right off. So again, we're going to pull the tab out and up, and then we're going to secure that with our other foot with our finger and do it again. It may resist a little. If it does, just work at it a little bit. Try to get yourself a different angle, and it should come right off. Next, we're going to take the button, the home button off. They also have tabs, so you pull them out and back, kind of away. Now that part there secures it to the back, so you have to pull away from the controller. So it just pops right off. We're going to need to get our T3 screwdriver to remove the triggers off of the what secures them down. So, everything's pulled apart. We can go ahead and take our joysticks off now. And this comes off by pulling away this metal piece from the bottom up and off. It comes right off, and you can get that right out of there. Sanding and primer. So we're going to start by removing the security sticker by starting at an edge and pulling down and away. It comes right off. That was actually very easy. It didn't even leave a residue. So we're gonna pull out the metal conductors that pull the power to the controller from your battery. We're gonna pull that out by squeezing the inside of it and pushing upward. So we get our sandpaper ready. And we basically just need to sand the inside on the bottom. We don't really need to sand the part at all that the covers snap down onto. So you just have a smaller area, making sure to get all of the edges and creases inside the battery pack. For the smaller pieces, you can use your sandpaper like this fashion if you choose. I'm putting some blue tape on these little brown pieces to just cover that up and make sure that nothing gets on it. Not really sure what they're for, but better safe than sorry. So now we're going to start by hitting this with some primer. You don't really need a lot of primer. You just need to get at least primer on every little piece of it, and it's there to keep the paint from not sticking to the plastic correctly. My approach on the joysticks is getting at parallel level and hitting it from the side, so that way I get underneath of the joysticks with the primer. And you can see I'm using a very light amount. The best thing to do with these little triggers, these little bumpers, I found was secure it down by putting it up against something that you don't care if it gets paint. I used the cap from a previous can of paint. We're going to let our primer dry. It really doesn't take very long. The fun part, painting. Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. Shake your spray paint. Yeah, so get that good and shook up. And what we're going to do when we go to paint is stay back about 8 to 10 inches away from the project. This keeps the paint at a light coating on each coating. We're going to do about 3 coats of paint with this, lightly taking away the gray. Quick sweeps. Notice that within my sweep is when I'm spraying, and never wasting the paint. I'm not holding the paint down and spraying all over. Just doing light strokes of paint. Let this dry for about 20 to 30 minutes, and we're going to hit it with a second coat. Now I've moved my pieces around a little. You can see my joysticks there are the opposite side, and I'm getting the gray out of those, as well as the covers on the handles, the grips, whatever you would like to call them, and again staying back at 8 to 10 inches away. This keeps the paint from dripping. We gotta hit the back of this at another time. So we're gonna let this dry for a while before we do that. I'll let it sit and dry again for another 20 to 30 minutes. Right now I'm just kind of taking a look, making sure that I'm noticing exactly where the gray is showing, because I want this third coat to be the final coat. I can see some gray is showing along the bottom side of this. So basically that's where I want to focus whenever I go to paint this again. So again, here we go, third coat. Light sweeps. I'm a little closer this time, but not too close, about 6 inches from the project. Making sure every single little piece of gray is going to be hit. You will notice on the faceplate I'm leaving a little gray, and that is because I'm going to cover it with white. I'm going to paint the triggers and the bumpers white. So I'm going to hit it once. I've made sure to put these smaller pieces on something that I can maneuver around. You don't have to use a piece of wood like I did. You could use a cardboard or something like that if you need something easy to slide around and maneuver those pieces around so you can actually cover them with paint. Now this is the second coat of paint, making sure that I've moved the pieces around to where the gray pieces, the parts that are showing the most gray, are facing me, so that I can see them as best I can. Now here's the project. I chose to do a Batman stencil. If you need to see how to do that, you can do so by clicking on this video in the bottom corner of your screen. It'll show you how to make a decal that you can put on any of these paint projects. Clear coat. Alright, so this piece, we need to keep a mental note that we need to work on this piece, but we're going to do it later. For now, we're going to hit this up with our clear coat. Again, staying back about 6 inches away from the project. Lightly going over it. You don't need to hit it too hard at once. We're going to do this with 2 coats. While clear coating, I have noticed on these bumpers that there is still a little gray showing through. So I've chose to use a piece of this sandpaper and placing the factory side flat, kind of pulling it towards me a little and giving it a couple of little bursts of white to finish that off and make sure that it is covered completely. If something like this happens to you, this is a good little trick to use. Now after all that's dried up, we're just going to hit it again with a slightly heavier coat on the second coat of clear coating, and making sure that we're getting everywhere all over the entire project, making sure that it's getting a good coating, flipping pieces around, getting it out from different angles, front, sides, tops, bottoms, all bases are covered. So for our final coat, I'm going to hit it kind of heavy again, giving it somewhat of a little bit of a shine, if that's what you like. You're going to hit this on your third coat heavy. Not too heavy to where it's dripping. You're just doing it exactly as I am here, staying back and doing quick sweeps through the entire project, because that builds up and it will make it good and shiny for you. However, by the end of this project, I'm going to make it a little bit more matte finish. A matte finish is something that I learned by pulling the clear coating away about 10 inches from the project and letting it fall across it. Just dusting over the small buttons and everything, not actually applying it to them, but over the top and letting it fall. Alright, so let's focus on this small piece here. We still have to cover the back side of it. So what we're going to do is remove the blue painter's tape from the front side. I'm choosing to do it this way. You don't have to do it this way. You could just flip the painter's tape over it. I suppose it would work just as well. Now we're going to flip this down the factory edge, lining up against that perfectly, so that way it's not... You see what I'm doing here? See how that works? It's covering it up much better. So now we're going to set it face down, and I'm going to hit this area with more pink paint. Doing the same thing I was doing before. Quick sweeps, only spraying in the sweep. Now that looks good and covered, so we're going to set this off just as we did before, because those little pieces underneath, they act as a stand to hold it up. Now we're going to hit it after it's dried with our clear coating. Reassembly. Now that we have let our project dry for 24 hours, it is cured, and that means that it won't get the infection. No, that means that it won't leave fingerprints when you apply pressure to it. So we can start off by putting all the smaller pieces back together, the D-pads, the joysticks, and getting the battery conductor back into place. Now when we do this, I'm going to show you how to do this because I didn't get a very good angle at first. I'm just trying to remove this again. Once I do, I'm going to show you. It can be loose when you put it back into place. So let's just try and get this guy back inside first. We're going to do that by applying a little bit of pressure to the pieces that are kind of protruding out, that are keeping you from going in. You just kind of squeeze them and push them through. Now, you can see that piece is a little loose, as I mentioned. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull it back up. And those little pieces that are sticking out there, we're going to give them a really good little squeeze. Alright, now then, you can't put it back together from the top down. You have to put it back together from the bottom up. So, you place the controller part, the actual insides, back together and make sure that your buttons are moving freely. Then you place the faceplate back over, and then you put your screws back in with your T5. This project is very, very simple. And right now, if you're like me, you can't wait to get done. So you can play on your new controller, go over to your friend's house, and there's not going to be like, man, which one's my controller? Everyone's going to know which controller belongs to you. Now it's important to get that screw into place as well. Make sure that you do. So we'll put these pieces back together on the sides. It pops right back on like they were never even removed. Make sure all the buttons work. If you notice something's wrong with the front buttons, it's more than likely you haven't put that screw back into place. So please, be sure to get that screw back in there. And there you are, your very own customized Xbox One controller. Now, if this is the kind of video you like to see, if this is the kind of video you'd like to see more of, I'm sure you're going to love my other videos on my channel. So please click subscribe, click like, leave a comment, and I will see you in the next video.